Welcome back to our special coverage of the Conservative Convention here in Calgary. We're looking ahead to the leader of the party, Pierre Poilievre's speech, and then leadership vote a little bit later on this evening. And I am joined right now by former Conservative Cabinet Minister John Baird. Mr. Baird, it's good to see you again.
Great to be with you, Ashley.
Thank you very much for making the time. In your mind, what does Pierre Poilievre in this speech tonight need to do?
I think he needs to set out a direction for the party going forward, where we want to position ourselves and how we can best win the next election. I think we can, I don't want to raise the stakes for Pierre, but he's a great speaker, and I'm looking forward to his speech, as are all the delegates.
So when you reflect on the direction that you think the party does need to go in, now that you've seen, almost a year or 8 months of what this version of the government looks like, how would you, what's your advice to chart that path? Like, what would you want to hear about what that path looks like?
Well, I think Pierre led a conservative party in the last election with a conservative platform, not a liberal light. And I think that's how we win elections, when we're genuine and true to our values. I think we can talk about, how we package and polish things, how we campaign. But I thought we came forward the last election with a great platform. I think we got to focus on urban Canada and Ontario, especially those valuable suburban ridings around the city of Toronto, and women voters. And I'm excited about the speech tonight and excited about the coming months.
Is there any kind of policy augmentation or reflection even that has to occur given the amount in the last 6 months that we've seen of policies that a few years ago I would have originally anticipated only hearing from the Conservative Party and are now being put forward by a Liberal government? I know they're not perfectly the same, but they're similar, right?
I think it makes Pierre probably the most successful opposition leader in Canadian history, because time and time again, the Liberals are adopting his policy platform, something that 6 months ago they would have found abhorrent, whether it was the carbon tax, whether it was dealing with the inflation and groceries. Pierre is consistently speaking to middle-class voters, consistently speaking to the challenges affecting average Canadian families. And I think in many respects, the last election all became about Mark Carney once Justin Trudeau left, and all became about Donald Trump. The messages that Pierre was delivering in the last election are still the meat and potatoes issues affecting Canadian families around their kitchen tables. And I think they'll fall on a pretty sympathetic audience of Canadians who are still struggling as much as they were 6 months ago, if not more.
Very much so. But I guess I wonder, like, does it, when you were campaigning in the last election, there wasn't any sort of record of similarity with the Trudeau government, right? It was easy to paint a contrast. It was easy to see those are two different options. Now that there is evidence, and I take the point of frustration among Conservatives who are like, God, this is the stuff we've been saying forever, and now, now it's being adopted. But ultimately, like, does that mean that you have to navigate things any differently? And I'll point to something I mentioned to Mr. Scheer earlier in the show. Like, I'm surprised by the number of delegates who have approached me to say, hey, like, it's a tough time for Canada. We would like to see a little less opposing, a little more working together, that kind of thing. Like, how do you square that circle?
Yeah, it's tough. Pierre was able to prosecute the case against Justin Trudeau to Canadians, able to prosecute the case on the carbon tax to Canadians, and I think he's got to be able to prosecute the case of a better economic policy. Our GDP per capita economic growth in the last 10 years is up 0.5%. versus the United States, 20%. We're last among all the major countries. Pierre's got to talk about common sense, competent macroeconomic policy. I think that's what he's been doing since the election, and I think I'd like to see more of it.
And do you think, when you mention some of the groups, for example, that you need to focus more in on when you look at some of the GTA ridings or female voters, do you think, and I'll put to you some of the polling that we've seen, when you said the last election was about Mark Carney, his polling far outstrips his party's. The Conservative parties right now far outstrips Mr. Poilievre's. Does there need to be any kind of change there?
Well, you see, polls can change very quickly in Canadian elections.
As they did in the last one, yeah.
Election campaigns matter, and if the government becomes too complacent and too cocky, that'll probably be a big help for Pierre. Listen, the last election, the Conservative Party got the highest popular vote, the third highest popular vote that we have since the 1950s. We won ridings like 3 out of 3 in Windsor, Ontario. We won Timmins, Ontario. We won seats in Vancouver Island that even Stephen Harper couldn't win. We did an extraordinary good job. It wasn't enough. We've got to up our game. We've got to be better prepared. We've got to have our candidates nominated a lot faster. And I think, you look at Stephen Harper. He learned a lot from his first election defeat and came back stronger and with a better group of candidates to form a government. And I think that's what you'll see with Pierre.
When he faced a leadership vote in 2005, Mr. Harper secured, I think it was 84 point something %. Does Mr. Poilievre Poilievre need to retain a similar level of support?
I'm not going to get into the numbers game.
I have to try.
This is not a game show, but I feel Pierre will do very well tonight.
Okay, I'll leave it on that note. Mr. Baird, a pleasure. Appreciate
Pleasure
your
to be with
time.
you.
Thank you. Former Conservative Cabinet Minister John Baird.